A young corporal at South Grafton heard these strange aircraft. He was able to identify them as American B-25 bombers. On his own initiative, he is said to have switched on the night lights at the nearby tennis court, and then, using them as Morse code, asked who they were. Crews of 2 of the fuel-drained B-25s advised that they were going to bail out. In one aircraft, First Lieutenant John Donegan and Second Lieutenant Herb Weiner, who had a parachute problem, fastened themselves together with their belts, sharing the one chute. They jumped, but the sudden jerk when the parachute opened broke the belts, and they tore apart. Donegan floated down alone. Weiner hit a tree and died. Donegan received the Soldier's Medal for Heroism for his attempt to save his friend's life at risk to his own. The woodchopper crashed midway between Casino and Bentley, near Savills Road. It lived up to its name, shearing a tree, then buried itself into the ground nose first. Due to the force of the impact, one engine was propelled 15 meters from the main wreckage. Satan's sister went into back row near McKee's Hill. It was seen to shoot up into the air, then nosedive into the ground. The aircraft made a very large crater. Today, a small willow tree marks the crash site, not far from the Bruxton Highway. Locals say that its growth is stunted due to the presence of oil in the ground. Torpedo Junction and Bud and his Pogmasters landed at South Grafton, overshooting the meagre airstrip. Both aircraft ended up in soft mud after crashing through a fence at the end of the runway. Eventually, the RAAF at Evans Head sent up a Fairy Battle aircraft, and it guided the one remaining Mitchell, Werewolf, to a safe landing. One B-25, the Tokyo Sleeper, flown to Queensland and then to New Guinea by Captain Robert Herry and co-pilot Lieutenant Roy Lee Grover, was destined to become the most famous B-25 in the history of the 405th Squadron. In all, there were 158 missions, and it destroyed 9 Zeros, 2 large transports, a destroyer, and innumerable barges. Not long after being in New Guinea, Lieutenant Roy Lee Grover and his crew, flying the Tokyo Sleeper, blew up a Japanese transport with one of their 2 1,000-pound bombs. As he flew the aircraft between the vessel's masts, he brought back a long piece of radio antenna wire embedded in the right wing. Shortly after this success, Yank magazine conducted a contest to determine which bomber in the Southwest Pacific area had the most missions to its credit. With 77 bombs representing combat missions painted on her side, Tokyo Sleeper came in third, 7 missions below the winner. The north coast of Madang province consists of reef-fringed lowlands, backed by some of the most rugged mountains on New Guinea. The town of Madang is situated on a peninsula on the northeast coast and is typical of a Pacific island town. It is sculpted with lily-covered lagoons, parks and open-air markets. Madang was once the site of one of the early German settlements and plantations. In town, the old cemetery on a knob of a hill near the market contains the tombs of the old German New Guinea Company. A number of gravestones were scarred by bullets during the war. On the foreshore of the nearby scenic coastal road is a tall column crowned with a beacon light, the Coast Watchers Memorial. It is a lasting reminder of those men who stayed behind the enemy lines. Brave men who took part in one of the war's most hazardous spying operations, reporting on Japanese aircraft and ship movements. 15 kilometers north of Madang is Nagada Harbor, where the Japanese sighted a number of anti-aircraft guns in the coconut plantations. Today one can find Jace Urban Resort and Aquaventures Dive Center, situated in a former plantation which is located on a peninsula overlooking Nagada Harbor. Out from this location are numerous small islands dotted along the outer barrier reef of Astrolabe Bay. Not far from Jace lies a Green Dragon B-25 Mitchell bomber. It sits in 20 meters of water off Wongat Island. To the south, a short distance away on CR Island, can be found the remains of a twin-engined American aircraft. The graves of the crew are said to be on the island. Nearby in the hills is Nobanob Lookout, where a Lutheran mission outstation was used as a Japanese lookout during the war. The views cover a great deal of the coast. North of Madang is Amron village, where the Japanese secret military police, the Kempe Tai, had their headquarters. Nothing remains, and today the village school stands on the site. A few kilometers further north is the Catholic mission at Alexishafen. The graveyard is testimony to those missionaries who died for their religion. It was here that the Japanese built one of the largest airstrips in New Guinea. Kuni grass covers the strip, and the area is pitted with bomb craters. A wrecked Nakajima Ki-49 Storm Dragon twin-engined Army Type 100 heavy bomber stands nearby. The Allies used the codename Helen for this aircraft. It is punctured with holes, the result of ground strafing and parachute fragmentation bombing by Allied aircraft. B-25 pilots made effective use of parafrags that shattered on detonation and expelled nearly 2,000 shards of white-hot metal, which, travelling at high velocity, shredded enemy aircraft, troops and vehicles. Another war relic at the mission is the rusting remains of a US half-track. 220 kilometers north of Madang is Hansa Bay. The nearest town is Bogia, situated on the south side of the bay. In the harbour are a number of small wrecks. The bay is a shallow body of water facing volcanic Manam Island and has been forgotten by Pacific War historians. Hansa Bay was an important supply point for the Japanese, as an anchorage for ships and troop transports during the New Guinea conflict, and was the site of Japanese airfields. Very little has been documented on the airstrikes made here, and a number of these were by B-25s of the 38th Bomb Group. Between the island and the shore lie the remains of a number of Japanese vessels destroyed by a tornado of bombs and gunfire. Close by, nature has partially obliterated the skeletal remnants of a Nakajima Storm Dragon bomber on an overgrown airstrip. And near Awa village are the remains of rusting guns that commanded the approaches to the bay. These are all reminders of imperialism, and that war does not pay. It is difficult today to imagine that such pleasant locations could have had any importance, strategic or tactical, to the fighting forces. On August the 4th, 1943, 2 squadrons of aircraft were dispatched from Moresby to attack Madang on their mission to destroy a large number of supply barges and other equipment. The lead ship was piloted by Captain Robert Herry and co-piloted by Lieutenant Robert J. Kosselnack. Major Williston M. Cox flew as command pilot, sitting behind Captain Herry. The rest of the crew consisted of First Lieutenant Louis L. Ritaco, the navigator, Technical Sergeant Hugh W. Anderson, the radio operator, and Staff Sergeant Raymond J. Zimmerman, the flight engineer and gunner.